Hey everyone, it's me, Sean Capri, and welcome to episode 94 of If We Ran Nintendo. Before we get started, I want to give all of you a little high five. Thank you for being here, and especially all of our patrons at patreon.com/makeusbetter, like our platinum executive producer, Corey Hicks, our gold executive producers, Sheldon, Benedict, and Mr. Moody, and all of our gentlemen executive producers. You know who you are, Nick Milicia from Next Level Games, Joel Brooks, James Johnson, Dr. Doom, Jesse Armstrong, Glauco Shaffer, David Ray, Aaron Doherty, Martini Jean, Dude 427. I see you guys in the chat there. Why don't we go ahead and start the show?
Okay, so the premise is If We Ran Nintendo. And part of me feels like that's the name.
Let's face it, as Nintendo fans, we are often left slightly disappointed and scratching our heads asking why. Where is our cloud saves? Why isn't Metroid out yet? Well, sit back as me, Sean Capri, and a couple of guests do just that. That's right, this is If We Ran Nintendo. Now, cue the music, future me. Hey everyone, it's me, Sean Capri. I'm still here, and welcome to episode 94 of If We Ran Nintendo. I am joined by the greatest co-host in all the land. I'm gonna say that every week from now on. We got Donnie Reece. We got playing some video games. Wait, play some video games. Playing Nintendo ain't no G in playing Nintendo. I was so focused on saying that tonight. Got Donnie and Caro, the Nintendo. Guys, thank you for being here. It's If We Ran Nintendo. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having us. Yeah, greetings, Cooplings.
This is great.
Guys, I am so pumped. Donnie, I don't know if you want to get into how you doing, but we were talking just for a quick moment.
Yeah.
Maybe we should set the stage. I don't know what version of Donnie we're getting tonight, but maybe you. How are you, man?
I'm doing
you just
well.
Start drinking.
Yeah,
I'm doing well. Caroline, unfortunately, the rum's gone.
Oh, that's
Played
a shame.
Played a lot of Sea of Thieves this
There it
weekend.
is.
So all the rum's gone.
Ah,
Yeah, I could use it tonight, but no, this is good. This is a great way to cap off a day. So
nice escape. Caro, how are you? Is this the first time we podcasted together?
yes, it is. This is the first time I've podcasted with Chelsea already, but I got Chelsea before I got the Sean treatment.
You got the better one first. This is sort of like leftovers.
Well,
Chelsea's
I'm just
better.
about to say you've got a lot of good shoes to fill. So
That's true. That's try living that every day with family and everybody else, like expecting me to like step up to the level that she's at. It's a high expectation. She sets the bar pretty high. Donnie, I'm going to throw this to you really quickly to start. For anybody, as if they don't know PSVG and everything that you guys are up to, why don't you let us know what's going over there and play some video games, or PlayStation video games, as I like to call it.
at PSVG on Twitter, playsomevideogames.com, the PSVG podcast network on all of your phones. We are a collection of like-minded gamers that love playing video games and talking about it. Just like all of your fans and all the shows that they produce themselves, we do the same. We typically have a show that drops almost every day of the week.
Yeah,
Can
man.
you believe that? And it goes, that's months in going. So we have the Nintendo Shack, we have the PlayStation Experience, we have the Xbox Empire, the state of the Xbox Empire, the PSVG show proper, board with video games, talk about all the games you can play on your TV.
That's
and
such a
tabletop.
great name.
It is.
Board with
You know,
video
they
games,
get a
perfect.
lot of feedback about that name. They're like, "Why did you spell it wrong?" They do that. They get that all the time.
Oh, guys, get your pun hat on.
They're too witty for their own good. And then the great OT. That goes every Saturday night, which is just kind of our hangout show where we just talk about stories and stuff and barely even crosses over for video games.
That's all. You know, it was bound to happen, Donnie, that eventually, like, a non-video game stuff was going to venture into play some video games network of podcasts. Caroline, like I said, we've never podcasted before. I'm curious, before we get into stuff, we want Todd Oxford to be a little patient. He'll get his time out for topics in a second. But, like, where did you swing into the mix of everything? Because I think some people might be confused. Some people think that you're actually Donnie's sister. Why don't you set the record straight? How did you come into the family?
well, we're just twins. That's all. No, Donnie and I actually met. We actually talked about this last 2 weeks ago. Well, it was for our 1-year Switch anniversary episode.
Amazing.
Donnie and I met at GameStop for the Switch launch last year, and we just like hit it off talking for several hours while we were waiting for the midnight launch. And he's like, "You join my podcast group?" And I'm like,
Just right there.
I would like to blog, and then I haven't hardly blogged at all, and I've gabbed and gabbed and gabbed for several episodes. So.
You're
like a creeper.
Well, you're like many of us are like, why would I like sit here figuring out whether or not I use a comma or not, or I could just like make stuff up off the top of my head and podcast. This is way better.
I do love to write. It's just I don't have time to write.
Who does? I can't. I would do it. My only spare time, as everybody knows, is when I'm on the toilet. But I just can't do it with my phone. I just can't. Like, I get some pretty thoughtful notes, but that's about as far as it gets, guys. That's what
She's being nice. She left out the months that it took of stalking her and constant follow-ups and constant badgering and emails and like, hey, are you sure you don't want to? I mean, it's
showing up.
It was
at
a
her
whole
house.
ordeal. It was a big ordeal.
Yeah, you got to see her like her address on the GameStop receipt. Like, where do I need to show up?
What he forgets to mention is that I got married a week after we met, and then I had the whole moving into a new apartment with a new husband and settling down in a new life. So I had a lot of other stuff going on.
The way that you guys fill in each other's stories, though, is very like brotherly, sisterly, kind of like, actually, the story goes like this. He's leaving out this.
You should have saw us the first time that night at that GameStop. We were there together for at least 7 or 8 hours. Just hanging out in line, just waiting. So the entire time was nothing of, hey, I beat this game, and did you play this game? Did you find this in Zelda? Oh yeah, do you like Animal Crossing? Yeah, I do too. It was just,
what do you think about golf games? I love golf games.
That's all it was.
That's
legit. That's how it happened.
Did you guys show up with like your 3DSs and stuff? Like, you were there for a long time. What were you playing? Do you remember?
I had my 3DS.
Yeah, I don't think I had mine. I left straight from work.
Oh, you know what? Story of Seasons, the second game, had just come out that Tuesday, and I gave it no love because I had 3 days to play it before Breath of the Wild came out. And that's what I was playing. But I was not even paying attention to my 3DS. I was more mingling with, our store manager, and we just have like a cool rapport with him.
You have to. That makes the whole video game experience better, is having besties at GameStop and EB Games and everything.
Yep.
Guys, I need to fight, and you, as a brother and sister always do, fight to the death. Who's the bigger Nintendo fan? I think I know the answer, but who's bigger?
I mean, that's close. Caroline buys everything, but then like I buy things that you can't buy.
Oh,
I mean, I've got Fire Emblem.
What are you talking about?
I've got Fire Emblem Golf Story art behind me. I could
totally buy that. What are you talking about? I think Donnie apportions his heart to other sorts of systems, whereas there's a small sliver of my heart that's for the old Sega days, and the rest of it is the Nintendo. So
that is true. Yeah,
I couldn't care less about. I do like PC games and stuff, but like Sony, we were joking today. Bethesda, what's that?
This is true.
So, yeah.
Well, okay, well, we'll let the audience decide. Guys, why don't we start the show like we do each and every week with our shout-outs? Why don't we quickly go through the chat? There are a lot of people here. I don't know what you guys normally do on a Monday night. I appreciate you choose this. I know you can do 1,000 different things, but appreciate you being here. Dayspace, Dave Moore, Aaron Doherty, David Ray, hi guys, hi, hello. I would bop you on the nose if I could. Warren is back. Well, holy crap, Warren, be safe. I hope you're doing okay, my friend. Donnie Reece, believe it or not, Donnie Reece is in the chat with us. Playing Nintendo. Amazing.
I can't believe I haven't been invited to the Discord. I need to get on the Discord then.
Oh, the link. Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that. The link is in the show notes. You can click right on it. Everybody's welcome. We've got great emojis. Jason Lacey's in the chat. Thank you for making all of our great emojis. Donnie has his own emoji you guys should check out. Josh Stapleton himself, Utah is weird, I think is what we say over at Married to the Games. I think I got everybody. Guys, I'm so pumped for today's episode. I've got a couple shout-outs of my own, but why don't we go over to Donnie? Donnie, what's your shout-outs for this week, man?
I don't know how to do shout-outs, man. I'm sorry?
I was just whispering geek-outs for the people who like the old show.
Yes. I always listen to you guys. You guys are always so nice about it, and I'm always like so antisocial. I don't. I mean. Jason, Caroline, I got Jason to get you the invite, so check those DMs. It's coming your way.
Thanks, man.
So you look at this multitasking. There's my brother in arms over here, my Nintendo Shack brother, getting stuff done in the chat. So geek
he
out.
Called Donnie out earlier for not, saying that we didn't promote on Twitter enough.
Oh yeah.
He got me on that too. Monday sneaks up on me. This show sneaks. Well, it all sneaks up on us. Really, let's be honest. It's like, oh crap, I got that thing. That thing tonight is happening for real. I don't want to put you on the spot. If you don't have shout outs, that's okay.
No. I'm gonna shout out Jason Lacey. I'm shout out my game share buddy Kevin Austin. He's over there on the Xbox Live grabbing all kinds of games that are on discount for me. And then I'm gonna shout out Jacob Rush over there at Nintendo Nostalgia because I'm actually booked to go on that show next Monday. So I have another Monday show
doing the tour.
We're talking all about Super Mario 3.
Oh, that's gonna be amazing!
Yeah,
so,
man.
Definitely, I'm gonna be firing up that SNES Mini Classic this weekend.
Oh my god! You know that feeling we're all like in our chests. That feel our hearts are flooding right now. That's nostalgia, everybody. That's Nintendo nostalgia. That's what that is. I'm excited to listen to that, man. That's awesome. Okay, nice. Caroline, who's your shout outs this week?
I'll shout out to everybody at the PSVG crew that's listening. Kevin, Jason, Tyler. Jacob too. I haven't talked to Jacob in a while. Hey, Jacob.
Jacob's the best.
Bring me back on your show, dude.
Man, every time I think of Jacob, I'm like, I should probably like looking around the room, like I should lift something. I should probably do a squat or push up or something.
That's right.
Good
Yep.
God, the guy is like Goku in training. He's insane. Also, in case people didn't know, we announced today that Jacob Rush and Ryan Black and the Nintendo Nostalgia crew joined Make Us Better. So starting April 1st, this is not an April Fool's joke. Your dollars towards Make Us Better support Nintendo Nostalgia as well as a slew of other stuff. So that is incredible. I am so pumped. Jacob and I have known each other for a long time. So it's like it's family coming together. So this is incredible. I have... one other shout out, that was my one, was Nintendo Nostalgia joining us, and I wanted to thank Jared Gauthier, highly intelligent, one of the best punny kind of Twitter handles. It's Hylian, like Hyrule, like he's from Hyrule, highly intelligent. And he made us like a great graphic for, it's incredible. Awesome. He made us a great graphic for our schedules for streaming here on youtube.com/WeTheNerdy, and he's like, anything you need, man, like whatever you want. If you have any ideas for design work and whatever, I'm like, I didn't ask for this, but I am very grateful. You are insanely talented and should be doing 1,000 other things with your time. But thank you for your help, Jared. Guys, that is gonna do it for our shout outs. And before we get to Todd Oxtra and his time out for topics, why don't we get a run through of what you playing, presented by Flexdeposed. Donnie, what you playing, man?
Oh man, I'm playing a little bit of everything.
Yeah, let's do it. Oh, by the way, shout out to Kevin Austin. I'm sorry, shout out to Kevin Austin for listening to the Xbox Drive, and he got himself a copy of Sea of Thieves. Now,
yes, he did.
I'm sorry for interrupting. You guys mentioned his name twice, and I was like, I need to give him a high five because that's awesome. I hope you
do not apologize for that. I'm kind of like in between games. I just beat Kirby. So we did Kirby Star Allies. Yeah, I already beat it. It's not that long.
Yeah.
I think I probably got through in about 8 hours, 8 or 9 hours, something like that. Collected all the main puzzle pieces, and then so now that I've got that out of the way, I'm kind of just hanging around.
That's tempting though when people say it's 8 hours. That's kind of like I want to give that. I could do that. Like Caroline and I were talking about Xenoverse before. Like, that's the other opposite end of the spectrum on that. I don't have 373 hours.
I love to invest my time, but yeah, like 8 hours, I could devote like a weekend to that and knock it out of the park.
We've been in a weekend. It's super pretty. It's really fun. Yeah. Kirby's got awesome powers, but it's a Kirby game, and it's not hard. And I don't really like the friend mechanic a whole lot. This would be one of those. I'd probably put it in that rent category. It's like that good. It's at 7, 7 out of 10. I do wish it was longer. I really do, because I think it's $60 for a 2D platformer.
See, that's just it. If it's $60, I'm not going to buy it for 8 hours gameplay.
Right, and it's not that it's just gameplay time equates to money, but in 2D platformer space, you expect more.
Sure.
Like Celeste offers a lot more. Most Mario games offer a lot more. Robobot was more. Like I expect more. But that said, it feels like it's like we got to get this out there to fill a gap. And it does that admirably. So I'm looking for indie games. I've been taking a few of those off. We did the Long Reach, and I've done Detention and all kinds of stuff like that. I'm playing Pac-Man on Switch. That Pac-Man Championship Edition EX plus 2, whatever they call it. It's got a ridiculous name. And the gameplay is equally ridiculous, and it's super fun.
Nice, man.
Just techno beats everywhere. Pac-Man, Ghost, bright colors, lots of music. High scores. Oh, that's really, really, really good stuff.
Yeah, man.
So that's just kind of what I'm messing with. I was about to play Lego Marvel's Heroes 2, but then Devin Tyus challenged me to watch all of the Marvel movies in order. And I said, you know what would be good? if I held off on this game until I did that, so I'd actually know who I'm playing with.
Understood
And
everything?
understood it. Yeah. So
Are you actually
I'm
going to do
doing that
it?
too.
Like you challenged?
I'm almost halfway through. So here's the bet. The bet was made. He goes, because I don't do superhero movies, so I'm not sure how much you know about Jason and Kevin and all those guys. They love this stuff. They go on and on and on and on and on and on, and I always make fun of them. And so he goes, he actually didn't believe that I've only watched like 2 of them, and there's like 20. He's like, "Are you serious?" He goes, "If you watch them all in order, I'll buy a Switch." And I was like, "Challenge!"
Oh my
accepted.
God! No kidding. You'll do that
Can't be that
twice.
hard.
Yeah.
Can't be that hard.
Yep.
I have to pass a quiz, but when I do, he has to get a Switch. He has to play Breath of the Wild, and he has to buy an indie game of my choosing.
Dude, that is
Well, I know
awesome.
what that's gonna be.
Man,
It's gonna be Golf
reason
Story.
Yeah,
enough.
I know.
It's gonna be Golf Story right
Oh
here.
my gosh, that is reason enough for people to get involved with the PSVG crew and the Discord and everything, because like that's not out of the
Shenanigans.
ordinary. Like that's just like that's a Tuesday for you guys. Like this crazy bet, I love it. That's hilarious, man. Well, I'm very intrigued by. I want to know how Kirby is doing, because it seems like everybody I'm talking to is like, oh, I'm just playing Kirby. Like it's not like it's been a huge deal.
It's Kirby doing Kirby things.
Just Kirby doing. Well, I wish that they would kind of take after the Ratchet and Clank thing on PS4 a couple of years ago. It was $40 instead of $60, and it was perfect. Like that's excellent. Caroline, what are you playing these days?
Yeah.
What you playing?
What am I? I'm playing the same old thing that I've been playing. Actually, I finished New Game Plus and got my Xenoblade 2 back up to 100% again until the next DLC, which is supposed to be released in spring of 2018, but that could be, at the end of the June or something, which gives me more rare blades, meaning more grinding and more farming and the fun part.
Gotta collect them all.
Yeah. But that's what I love.
But look how genuinely excited you get about that. Like I don't think that was sarcasm. You're like, oh my gosh, there's so much more stuff that I can go do and pick up and collect, and 70,000 more hours to put in this.
Yeah, guys, I've put in 320 hours according to the Switch. 320.
Did your Switch wipe your playtime at all? Like, was that a bug that everybody experienced?
Because I just Breath of the Wild, it did, and the other ones, it did not.
Oh, okay.
Mine did, and then when they patched the update, it came back.
Did you have a heart attack?
Okay.
No, because I pretty much keep my ear to the ground. So there was like the 2-day period.
Journal.
There was a 2-day period where Game Explain was like, "Don't turn your Switch on. It totally erases all of your stuff." And we were going back and forth in the PSVG Discord. I was like, guys, I'm not going to do it. I can't turn it on. Like, I have all these hours that I've logged, and they're like, it doesn't matter. It's just a number. Just turn that thing on and play games. I was like, can't do it. But then once people said, "Oh, it'll get fixed," then I was like, all right, let's get back to playing games.
Fair enough. Well, Caroline, thank you for not totally throwing it in my face. Earlier, I called it Xenoverse, and yes, Xenoblade is actually what I meant.
Well, it is the Xenoverse. There's Xenosaga, and I can't remember the other, but Xenoblade is my first. Xenoblade 2 is my first Xeno game ever. And I have since started playing the Wii version as of this Saturday. I'm
Xenoblade X. I've been trying to tell you.
Yeah, well, see, I want to do X after the first one, just because the first one and the second one are linked, and X is just kind of this like spiritual successor off on the other side. And it's just the story is not as enveloping as the second game, and I don't think it's just a slow crawl. I'm 9 hours into this thing, and I'm still just like, when's the story gonna start? And it sucks because I've heard so much good about this game, and I'm like.
Yeah, a decade ago. It's old.
No, 2012. It's only 6 years old. And
oh my gosh, isn't that weird to even think about? What the heck?
Yeah, I know. But it's I'm gonna grind through it. I'm not gonna 100% it like the other one because it's just not in my heart. Like I'm not into it.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's about it. I was playing it literally like 10 minutes before we started, and I'm only in Colony 6, so.
Well, you know what? We're gonna keep this to 60 minutes, and then you can get right back to it, so you can maximize your game plan and your game time. Because guess what, everybody? It's the Todd Oxtra timeout for topics. Eventually, we'll have some sort of like interlude or whatever. It's time. We're gonna have music. Todd Oxtra, you can be happy. We're 20 minutes in. I think this is like kind of a good time for that intro. Then we'll have a little topics, and we'll run Nintendo. And in case people don't know, I've worn a special shirt for today's show because Donnie, I think, has a really good topic for us. Donnie, why don't you kick us off,
Nice.
man?
So
I just want to make sure you can't see my belly. You have to put up with my shenanigans. Bobby had to. Now only people have to do it once, and then they can walk away from the show forever if they want to. But Bobby was stuck with me, and then he died.
I miss Bobby.
Yeah, me too.
Bobby would like this topic. You messaged us and you said, "Hey, we're doing If We Ran Nintendo. You got to bring your own topic," and that challenged me. I actually struggled with it for a while.
You're not the only
one.
And
then I was sitting there at work and I was daydreaming about Zelda games, as I often do, and I said, "You know what? I've had this thought in my head ever since I played Breath of the Wild. That should totally be my topic." And my topic is, if I ran Nintendo, the next Zelda game would be a spiritual successor, sequel, prequel. It would be somewhat related, a follow-up to The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite Zelda game I just beat again for probably the 8th or 9th time just a couple weeks ago on Wii U.
Wow.
I love that game so much.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the reason why. On every console, most of Nintendo's consoles, handheld and home consoles, you typically get 2 Zelda games per generation, typically. Especially when the consoles launch with Zelda game.
Mm-hmm.
Almost every time when a console launches with a Zelda game, you get another one. And they're usually somewhat related in some way. They share assets, they do something. So you get Ocarina, you get Majora, you get Wind Waker, you get Twilight, you get Skyward Sword, right?
Mm.
So Breath of the Wild was shown off for the first time in 2013.
14.
So I think it was 13 when they did that first demo. But if that's neither here nor there. That thing was in the pressure cooker for at least 4 years, probably
maybe
longer,
5.
and you didn't know about it. Yeah. So we don't want to wait 5 years for another Zelda game on Switch.
Mm-hmm.
They have this beautiful engine that they've put all this time into, and we all love it. And I'm not going to wax poetic about Breath of the Wild, but it's got physics, it's got items, it's got upgrades, it's got all these shrines, it has all these systems and resources they can just build off of. So how do you take what they have, spin it like only Nintendo can, and make it better? You flood it. You flood that bad boy.
Yeah.
You let Link do exactly what is hot right now. What's everybody playing on an Xbox? Sea of Thieves. What's Assassin's Creed making? Pirate game. Who did the first pirate game? The Legend of Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
I love this idea.
Well,
It's not even that
that's our topic,
far-fetched.
everybody. That's our show. That's it. We are agreed.
We're getting Reggie on the phone, and it's going to happen
It's
tomorrow.
happening. It's happening.
It's not even that far fetched. If you think about the Breath of the Wild, right? So the king, right? You got the Koroks. The king looks just like the King of Red Lions, like back in the Wind Waker. They even have like the rock salt that mentions that's like it's in this ancient sea. You have all this old
next
stuff
level.
like Kakariko and everything that's like ruined. There's all these ponds of water that are just random around valleys. I mean, it's almost like it's built for it.
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea of you take what we have, you break it into pieces. Think of it like like Pangea, like what we have on Earth today.
Yep.
Break it into little continents. Start to separate it. Flood it. Let you have a boat. And then what makes it different than what you have now with Breath of the Wild is in the next one, you get to go underwater.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking this is a prequel. So you've got the
It's like
timelines,
some,
right?
Subnautica. It's
Yes,
terrifying.
you've got the Zelda timelines that everybody argues over. You got the
Yep.
child line, the adult line, and the defeated timeline. Breath of the Wild is what brings them all back together. So this is just one right in front of that one.
Mm.
So the waters recede, islands emerge, life springs eternal, the hero comes back, right? Ganon finally escapes from the sea, and that's your story. And then it leads to some epic, battle that sets forth what eventually Breath of the Wild is.
Man, I'm supposed to be like devil's advocate here. Like but what about this? But it's really difficult to argue. I'm going to leave the arguing to a second. Caroline, is this kind of like what you had in mind when you heard this topic come up? Like, what do you think about all of this?
I didn't think that he'd have it so full flushed out.
Yeah, I know.
I just thought we were going to talk about. I was going to shoot him down immediately. Be like, Donnie, there's this thing called Phantom Hourglass, and it exists already.
Oh, snap! There it is.
Yeah. Well, but he's like taking it off as like a spiritual successor type game.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be very interesting. I did love the charting islands and just discovering new stuff and avoiding stuff in the Wind Waker. And I think that kind of exploration is something that we got in Breath of the Wild, but there's something like about the unknown of being in the middle of water and just nowhere, where everything looks the same. But we're not going underwater because I have terrible fear of like sea creatures and video games and
Oh, really?
oh gosh, it's a long list.
Oh.
So.
Well, I'd rather be under sea than on a volcano mountain, to be honest with you guys. I just suck with heat and games. It's just not a good scene for me. It doesn't make any sense. Now, I want to dive into something here, guys, because I think that Ben Butler's in the chat. Hi, Ben Butler. I want to dive into something that probably breaks a lot of our hearts. As a Zelda fan myself, I wish that the numbers were a little bit more impressive for every Zelda game. You kind of look through and it's often surprising to see that it's not even close to Mario. Like, it's not really surprising that Zelda doesn't sell as much as Mario, but it's not even close. And I'm wondering, like, what might be there. Oh, we just lost Caroline. So now Donnie's like taking up both of us are taking up just a sweet cross over the that looked awesome, actually. Welcome back.
Thanks.
Did you accidentally hit a hang up?
Yeah, I did. Sorry.
Yeah, she's giggling like I just did something wrong. Okay. My thought was, in order for Nintendo to sort of like build up more momentum to generate more sales, like I'm wondering if now you guys can just knock me back a little bit. But I think the gap in between Zelda games actually hurts the sales, like where you kind of have to like regenerate a lot of the excitement every single time, and it's totally different. I don't know, there's a fine balance between like having a nice gap, like Fallout 4 did really well. It's been like forever, and Skyrim tends to do a really nice job of this. What do you think about trying to like lean into this notion that Nintendo already does, which is use those assets over and over again so that we can have quicker releases and maybe a little bit more like stable sales in the Zelda world? Donnie, what do you think about that, man?
That's an interesting theory. I don't think Zelda, I don't think if it came out every other year, it came out every year, every 3 years, I don't think it's really going to dictate the sales. I think there are video gamers that like Zelda games, and then there are video gamers that don't. That's one of the, we've actually had this PSVG debate for a long time. Nintendo's like franchise, their stables, their core pillars are Mario Kart, and Pokemon. Like those are the ones that sell. Because
man, Zelda. I think Zelda sells too.
They have broad appeal. So like Mario Kart, like on Wii, Mario Kart numbers go 25, 30, 35 million, not 5 or 6 or 7. Yeah. And there's 5 million copies of a video game is great. The difference between Zelda and the other ones is that Zelda moves hardware. People don't rush out to buy hardware to play Mario Kart. But what happens is gamers rush out to buy hardware to buy Zelda, and then they buy Mario Kart, and then other people see it, and then they come in and they buy Mario Kart. So I think it's always important. I think if Nintendo, if they haven't learned their lesson yet, right? The Wii, the Switch, I would say the 64, even though it wasn't right there, but Mario counts. They should always launch a system with a Zelda game.
I totally agree. I think they've really solidified that.
Core principle. Every time they launch a system, it should come with a Zelda game. It's tried and true, because you will always get that 10 million diehard Nintendo gamers. They'll show up to buy it.
Man, that's a really good point, because like at first my question came from sort of what has ended up happening with Fire Emblem, where it's like, oh, people buy this. Okay, we're going to do this like a little often. And those are, I think, much easier to start like to crank those out. You can like fire up the factory and they just start coming out. But it seemed to me like those games were generating some momentum. So every time a new release came out, it's like if you've heard of Fire Emblem recently, all of a sudden there's a new game to look forward to, and don't buy that last one. The next one, or the time to buy is when that new one comes out. And there's always something to be buying, and there's always that momentum building. But I don't know if that necessarily works with Zelda, and I'm glad you brought up the point of Zelda coming out when a console comes out, because it establishes like a really important role for The Legend of Zelda to play, and that is kickstart the system. Yes. And it's way more important than 20. Well, I think it is. I think in its own way, it's more important than 25, 35 million units of Mario Kart for the Wii, because people remember buying that Twilight Princess for the first time, along with Red Steel, of course.
Absolutely.
It generates buzz. It gets people, it gets IGN talking about it, gets GameStop talking about it. Fire Emblem doesn't do that. You're talking to two diehard Fire Emblem fans.
Yep.
Caroline's the only person like me that I know that I've met in real life plays as much Fire Emblem as I do.
That's awesome. And I'm late to the game too. Like Birthright was my first one. And I'm like, how the heck did I miss this before? Like, and I want to go back and it is that thing of there's something coming out all the time. I probably could pick it up. It's just like if I'm in the mood for it, I know what it is now and everybody's talking about it. Caroline, now I want to throw something to you now too. So we've established that like Zelda, its role is to sell consoles. Like I think we can agree that that's a really important thing for it to do. So then, like, where does like a second Zelda come into play? Now we've also kind of talked about how that we often get two within a console cycle. Like, is it as important for that to be innovative, or is that a little bit more fan service? Like, how does that drive? Like the idea of Wind Waker 2, does it drive now that we're talking about the way that Zelda sits within the Nintendo portfolio? Does this make sense?
I think that it's like a second game is always a fan service thing. Majora's Mask was pretty much just, let's give these people something that they will, tide them over until we get Wind Waker out, which was another 3 years before they had it. We could have had a 5-year gap between Ocarina and Wind Waker, and we wouldn't have had anything. And I think it just kind of keeps us at bay. And it's like, okay, here's a bone, chew on it for a little bit. The 3DS games, for a time, were doing that pretty well. I really enjoyed A Link Between Worlds and between, like, God, how long was it between Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild? It was like literally about it was a little over 5 years. It was 6 years. Less than 6 years.
Was it 2011 for Skyward Sword?
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, but it was like in November or something.
Yeah.
And then March of 2017. So it wasn't quite 6 years. But we never had an actual console release for the Wii U, which was such...
Isn't that insane?
Yeah, I know. And I was thinking back to it. Was Wind Waker HD released when they launched the Wii U?
No, not even.
And I wonder
if
if
E3 after. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. It was in 2012. And anyway, we got 2 HD remakes for the Wii U, but I don't think that it was enough. Obviously, it wasn't enough for us to, keep going with the waiting game.
That's bare minimum for the Wii U. That's really what they got.
I remember they had that carrot on the stick. They showed Breath of the Wild. It was a Wii U game. And they just kept, it got to the point where they were like, we can't blow this bullet on this console. It'll die.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So is it now in terms of like all of the different Zelda games that they could go back to? And I like this idea. I think that like this big bang and then the planet is flooded. And I love this idea that everything is separated. Stepping aside from Wind Waker, Caroline, is there any other Zelda title that you could see doing this, of using the same sort of assets, is wide open, you can go anywhere from one end of the map to the other in a single journey? Is there any other game that you would go back to in that fashion?
I think Breath of the Wild was kind of the rehash of the original NES. So I'm trying to think what
Mask Girl knows what she's talking about. Yes.
What?
No, what? I love that. You're absolutely right. Donnie's got sorry, go ahead.
I've got one that I don't think anybody's going to want to hear.
Okay.
But the answer is A Link Between Worlds.
Well, see, that's what I was going to say. I loved the Link to the Past, Link Between Worlds kind of like what Link Between Worlds did with the game mechanic, and they changed it up.
Yep.
But they brought A Link to the Past sort of back to life in a new vein. I don't know if they could do that with a console, though.
No. But you take that and you make another Zelda on 3DS.
Oh, well, okay.
That's the part that nobody wants to hear.
What?
We're gonna get into that.
Yeah, that's Sean
doesn't want to hear that.
I don't want to hear that at all.
Like there's that Link's Awakening rumor that won't go away, or like they could take that engine that they've done on 3DS. I mean, they're still supporting it. It's not going away. No matter how many people want it to, it's still going.
Yep.
They could literally do an entire year of 3DS models on one Zelda game.
Triforce Heroes did use that engine, though. And Triforce Heroes was like this really weird spin-off game that it wasn't enough for me to just be like, oh, I'm satisfied waiting another 2 years.
That's true.
It's gotta be a story-driven thing. It can't be like set off in some, no offense to Majora's Mask, and set off in some Terminal Land, or what's the one where is the Triforce Heroes even done? It's like the land where they have the tights and the frilly clothes.
Yeah.
I can't even remember. Like it wasn't that momentous for me.
Yeah.
I think the best way to hold over the gap to fill in your annual cycle, Sean, is to just bring over the remakes. Bring over the HD remasters. Let's get Wind Waker over here. Let's get Twilight Princess over there.
Get some inverted controls while we're at it too, Nintendo. Please, God, so I can play this game. Because I can't play it, man. I can't do normal controls. I just you put the stick in the head and back, and everybody knows how
You're
that
an
works.
inverted person too. I'm inverted on Splatoon. I can't do anything unless it's inverted too. So
I
took
tried.
some time.
And I walk around, I'm staring at the sky for some reason. I'm like, oh, because I'm just doing this up thing. This is ridiculous. I love how on brand would it be for Nintendo to just roll through all the old games, everything that you've known, just now in the Breath of the Wild sort of engine, all the physics, everything else that you mentioned, the open world, just redo it all. That's Zelda in and of itself. Really, I don't think anybody would be too.
In our Zelda Breath of the Wild review cast, I actually made a joke. I said I can't wait to play Zelda Breath of the Wild HD 4K remastered on Nintendo's next console in 2024. So when I grab the Master Sword, no frames drop, everything's super detailed. Yeah, I can't wait till they do that.
You need to throw some more confusing naming conventions in there too, but I think that pretty much does it. Guys, that was a great topic. I want to make sure that we go on to the next one too. I think we are in agreement that we all want Wind Waker, more Wind Waker. We want more of this guy. We need more. Toon Link is amazing. Caroline, I think that your topic, and we talked about 3DS for a second. David Ray was wondering why we're all hating on the 3DS. You're going to be happy in a second. Why don't you go ahead and introduce your topic?
I don't know if he'll be happy.
Well, we'll see.
All right. If we ran Nintendo, what would our plans be for the 3DS? As it is now sort of the old man sitting in the corner had his heyday, and the new kids are on the block now with their Switches, and they're like, we can go anywhere we want. We can go on the TV. We can go out to the car and the beach, wherever we want to go.
Yeah, and the 3DS is back in my day, we used to make friends everywhere we went. We would play our Maker, match, and puzzles, and collecting all these things, and the bippity-boppities.
I do wish we had a Street Pass function for Switch, because I think it definitely warrants it. And if they want to make it a portable type thing, then that was what I loved, going to Disney World and bringing my 3DS in my purse and getting 200 hits in one day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Comic-Cons or anything like that.
Yeah, conventions too, definitely. I have more games on the 3DS than I have any other game system in my library, console, handheld, anything. I love it to death. Some of my favorite games in my top 10 of all favorite games of all time are on the 3DS. But having played my Switch more and more religiously over the past year, and not having played my 3DS as much, seeing that direct at the beginning of the month where they're like, here's a Mario and Luigi rehash that's coming out in 2019. I kind of just feel bad at this point, and my personal opinion is we need to put it out to pasture.
Oh no! Yeah, well, I know
Donnie disagrees with me on this.
I'll let Donnie take that one, man. Everybody in the chat should let us know too. We'll get you guys your opinion on this as well. But Donnie, come on, man, give it up.
It's been 7 years.
That's blasphemy.
What?
That's ridiculous. All right.
When was the last time you played your 3DS though?
Oh, I played it just yesterday. I'm playing 80s Overdrive right now on 3DS. It's great.
Right now? Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still working on Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun. Just for the, I got to get to the end to get the Necrozma crossover so I can put it in my bank and then be done with it.
All right. Here's my analogy for what if I ran Nintendo. Here's what I do with 3DS. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. They're terrible, right? There's a thing in the NFL. There's a thing in the NFL that you don't do. You don't draft the #1 rookie quarterback, and you don't put him out there in game one. You need a veteran. Let him ease into it.
Johnny Manziel.
There you go. So, Sean,
the
Switch is going to overtake the 3DS. It's going to happen. Why is everybody in a rush? It's not like one is taking away from the other. It's not like because they remade Luigi's Mansion on 3DS that the Switch all of a sudden doesn't have a game that it should have. That's not how it works. Okay. Right? They've got engines. They've got assets.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Allow the Switch to take market share. They're still in third place. For everybody to tell, the Switch is selling great. They're still behind. They're still behind Xbox. They're still behind PlayStation 4. How about you let it catch up a little bit before you lop off a pillar of this company. The 3DS is still the single cheapest price point entry into video gaming. Do you have kids? Do you want them to play video games? You want to buy them a PlayStation 4 or do you want to buy them a 3DS? 3DS. That's where it's at. There's still a market there.
That's your best. That's your best argument for it is right there, because I was gonna still go after the whole football analogy. In which case, most times you're right. Most times you're right. You do want a veteran that's gonna like kind of have that transition work. But every once in a while, you have a Brett Favre retire, and then what's his name, Aaron Rodgers comes out. Look at this.
Aaron Rodgers waited with Brett Favre for like 7 years. He's on the bench forever.
Yeah, but he's on the.
That doesn't work, Sheldon. That's kind of the
same. That's kind of the same, though. If you're on the bench, you might as well not even be on the team. Let's be honest. If you're on the bench for Brett Favre, that's not the same, because he's not playing any games. Just like the 3DS shouldn't be releasing any games. Because I think I'm with Caroline on this. I think it is. I think it's time. But the better argument is for the kids, because if I was like, if Lincoln is going to play something in like a year or 2 years, whatever it is, there's no way he's touching the Switch.
Caroline, why do you camp out at GameStop for 8 hours to buy a Nintendo Switch? Because it reminds you of what you played when you were a kid. If you stop the 3DS, you stop getting to the kids. Are you going to buy a 3DS or are you going to buy a Switch for Link? I'm not buying a Switch for Victoria. Are you out of your mind? It's $300.
Wait, for my Link?
My kids.
Caroline,
yes, do you have
your Link? Oh, okay. I thought Caroline had it. Like, do you have a Link?
all of my kids have a 3DS. We all have 3DSs. Why? They're cheap, dude. You buy them used for like $50. You can buy them brand new, especially on Black Friday, for no more than $80. Mm-hmm. You buy the really good ones for $100, $120. And as you guys have already stated, there is a library of games for people to go back. Some of the best games of all time, Ocarina of Time 3D. Mm-hmm. This is great stuff. Like, you can't. What do you want? If you just chopped it off, that's it. It's just gone. Now it's just all Switch.
What do you do
for that? What do you do for that market?
I just think that, I don't know, there's
a market.
It's just like a beating a dead horse, though.
It came out horses out of this.
But the 3DS in January had its best January ever.
That's we laughed insane, about that, man.
I know. Did you see the NPD? They had their best January ever. Here's the thing that I think would make everybody better. If we ran Nintendo, here's what you do with 3DS.
Okay.
For the next 2 years that you support 3DS, every 3DS game also comes to Switch. Then nobody cares. Everybody's happy. And you know they can do it. They're doing it with Wii U and 3DS. They did it with Fire Emblem Warriors. Like, it's not like it's hard. But when Pokemon hits the Switch, put out a Pokemon port for 3DS.
No, that's going to drain my wallet.
I don't know, man. I don't think you do that. I think that, again, talking about roles of the games, I think the Pokemon has to move units. But
people are going to buy the Switch version of Pokemon anyway.
But they could do it even like a month later. They could do like a Smash for 3DS and like a Pokemon for Switch and a Pokemon for 3DS.
I'm telling you, the difference on the Pokemon front, the main difference is the Switch version of Pokemon will be the first ever mainline Pokemon game you can play on a TV.
Yep.
And that's the selling point.
The way that they would do it too with Pokemon, like they would have them be just different enough on the 3DS that like it's not even really the same game. Like and maybe they like even complement each other. You can only get, I don't know. There's probably some really
it's like that Dragon Quest 11 type thing where the 3D,
Yeah, oh gosh. You know what? I think that this also ties into Andy Benedict, the Ninformant, also wrote, and he's like, I want to make sure you guys get into the topic, and I think this ties in a little bit too. He said, with all the attention that 3DS and Splatoon got in the most recent Direct, if we ran Nintendo, would we make a 3DS version of Splatoon or Smash? Like, is there... Caroline, this is totally opposite of what you're thinking, but Donnie, I kind of wanted to jump on board with kind of what you're saying. Is there a reason to just keep doing stuff with the 3DS, including Smash, including Splatoon?
No for Smash, because 3DS already has one. For Splatoon, yes. Right. And the 3DS is a perfect opportunity to take that IP and bend it. I love the idea of doing like a 2D shooter with Splatoon characters in Splatoon's world.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like what they do in Pikmin. Hey, yes. Splatoon.
Exactly. Yes. Take something like that. Think of like not like a Metroidvania, but something like a Metroid game, but with inklings, and it's funny, and you jump around and you shoot things and it's explosions. It's going to be super easy. You've got 2D platformers out the yin yang over there on 3DS, so they can pull that stuff together. I don't think you can play Splatoon proper on a 3DS.
No way.
But you can definitely get value out of putting the IP on 3DS. I know that if they made an awesome 3DS edition in Splatoon, I'd probably buy it.
Oh, well, of course you would.
I would too.
See, Caroline would too.
Yeah, I would.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
Nintendo fans that would.
Here's the thing. I started this conversation like completely like, nope, 3DS is done. But something very different is happening right now in Nintendo land and video games that really, you guys might have to remind me of another time, but I think that this might be the first time ever where Nintendo can actually take on the entire video game market back again. Like maybe since the first time since like NES days, where the Switch is like the powerful one, quote unquote powerful. That's where you get like your big gravity, your 3D games, and everything like that. And then the 3DS is at entry level, and it totally pushes out Xbox for sure. They're the ones who are definitely up against the ropes. But then like, what does PlayStation do? Like it is that entry point into this is probably the first gaming system that a lot of people will play. Okay, now I'm gonna push it one step further because I think. Man, I think we're onto something here.
Say the wheels are turning.
I know.
So I think the
If
thing
we
that
were at
I wanted
Nintendo,
to
Donnie,
He is getting excited.
nobody's targeting that
I
non
know.
25-year-old gamer anymore. That's mobile. They've all relegated it to mobile. They've given up on the front. It's all mobile games. Nintendo can still fight on that front, and that creates Nintendo gamers for tomorrow.
David Ray says the 3DS can exist as a separate entity. It doesn't realistically cut into first-party Switch games. Y'all didn't want it to die during the Wii U, but some respect on the 3DS's name. And Ben Butler says that I'm out of my mind. I am feeling a little out of my mind. I can't believe I'm even saying this.
I feel that way too. I mean, when it was during the Wii U, that was the counterpart that we had. Like the DS and the Wii went together, but the 3DS and the Wii U kind of went together. But now that the Switch does both, why do we need another one? That's my.
It's just an option.
I
You don't
knew-
need it. It's an option.
It's just something I you know what? I'm just gonna chalk it up to the fact that you got kids and I don't, and I just don't like. I wouldn't get another console or another handheld for my kids. Probably, I'd just be like, here, you can play mine.
We got some cardboard coming up pretty soon, though, guys. That's
true.
really
yeah.
for the kids.
I'm getting that. Are you kidding me?
No, I was showing my family just this past weekend. I was like, "Do you guys know what's about to happen to your wallets?" And they're like, "What do you?" So I just put on the trailer. And my dad was like, "This is impressive!" Like he was just completely blown away. Yeah.
You're about to buy $60 worth of cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
And you're gonna
Gonna be
love it.
huge.
And you're gonna take your markers to. You're gonna color as if it was the first time ever. Even my brother liked the fishing site. He loves fishing in real life. He's like, I could fish in the wintertime now, as if ice fishing wasn't a real thing that he totally does.
Cute.
I know, like, and he's a grown like adult. Like I talk about him like
Yeah.
he's like my younger brother. Like he's 6, but he's 31. So that is hilarious. Man. It depends. Okay, so I think it all also depends on what Labo is going to do. Like, really, because I think we're talking about the Switch is for, like, the grown-ups, and then the 3DS be maybe for kids, and it serves a different market. Maybe depending on what Labo is able to do. Labo? Is it a Labo, or is it a...
I said Labo.
Labo? Lambo?
Labo.
Back to the Green
We're
Bay
from
Packers.
the South. We got the accent going on.
I love the
Donnie
Southern
really
accent.
doesn't have an accent, but
Because I'm not from the South. I'm from Cleveland.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
And
well.
Sean's from the bold north.
Yeah. It's too cold here to talk properly, so we just make jokes and cuddle together.
No, I think you're onto something. Once the Switch has a better firm hold and they've caught up on their dev cycle in year 2 and all their games come out, then you can lay 3DS down.
Let's
But it
be
still serves a
fair though.
purpose.
The one thing that everybody is really concerned with is that anytime something, and I think to Dave's point, anytime something comes out for the 3DS, we're like, that takes away from something from the Switch. I think we just need to take it easy. That's a knee-jerk trigger reaction of like that's what we're supposed to say almost, but that's not really a thing, you guys.
It's not the first time
with,
Nintendo supported 2 consoles.
Well, with Luigi's Mansion, I mean, I didn't think that it took away from a possible HD remake for
You don't think so?
the Switch. No, they already had the Dark Moon thing on there, and they just used the same engine that they had for Dark Moon, and they're giving it a facelift.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy for it, coming out on that. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Plus, the long rumor of GameCube support coming to Switch, like they may not want to burn an HD remaster of that game on Switch. They may just drop it on GameCube.
Yeah.
Let's just be grateful that Nintendo isn't dropping quotes like Xbox did. Like we have another system for people who want to play old games. It's called the 360.
Yeah.
Like we don't need any of that. If anybody wants to play virtual console games, we got a system for that. It's the No. So thank you, Nintendo,
Patrick.
for not.
Patrick!
Good God, Patrick, you damned us all. Guys, this has been so much fun. Donnie, why don't we? I think I don't even know where we end up with this one, but that was a fun topic. Why don't we remind everybody where everybody can find you all over the internet? Donnie, why don't you go ahead and go first, my friend?
Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you for having me and having us.
This is awesome.
I greatly appreciate it. You can find me on Twitter at Playing Nintendo. As Sean says, ain't no G's in Playing Nintendo.
Yeah.
I also run the PSVG Twitter account 95% of the time. So we have a giveaway going on over there. If you go over there, retweet one of our stuff and follow us, we're giving away the Long Reach on Nintendo Shack Thursday night.
Ooh, nice one. And Caroline, where do you fit into all of this mess? Remind everybody where they can find you. Should definitely give you a follow on Twitter and every time that you are on. Only when you're on a show on Place of Video Games Network of Podcasts.
I'm just the PSVG's token girl, I guess. I don't know.
That's
princess.
But yeah, Donnie calls me the princess. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at the Nintendame, and I just hang out with all the PSVG guys whenever I have time in the Discord. And I'm always rotating between Nintendo Shack. I'll be there Thursday. And Arcadia Academia, which is the joint venture that Kevin, Austin, and Tyler and I have going on, where we talk fun schooling facts about video games. And then just the regular PSVG podcast whenever they need a hand.
I love it. Well, you know what? You and I are going to have to chat as well, because we need to get you on We the Gamer Cast. We've got a nice run of women that are actually being interrupted by the Flexipose guys with the bonus. It's a whole complicated thing. But
They're always
the mainline episodes have been, we've got 2 in a row. We've got another one coming up this week. Hopefully we can make it 4 in a row. We should talk. We should definitely talk.
Totes.
Thank you, everybody, for being here in the chat. Donnie Reece, thank you for being here in the chat. David Ray, Ben Butler, and everybody else at youtube.com/WeTheNerdy. If you guys like this, please consider supporting this show, We the Gamercast, Nintendo Nostalgia, Warp Whistle Gaming, The Bad Bit, blah, 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 blah. 1,000 different things over at patreon.com/MakeUsBetter. We'll shout you out at every start of every show. That is all. Peace out, Bobby, wherever you are in America land. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oh, and the credits today brought to you by Mr. Moody. So here's a movie review from Mr. Moody. This is fun stuff. Bye-bye.
A Wrinkle in Time is directed by Ava DuVernay and stars Storm Reed, Oprah Winfrey, Reese Witherspoon, Levi Miller, Zach Galifianakis, Michael Pena, and Chris Pine. The story is of Meg, who loses her scientist father. He was experimenting with this strange idea he had that you could bend the universe and travel light years in seconds. When 3 strange beings arrive in Meg's backyard, Miss Witch, Miss Whatsit, and Miss Who, Meg, her brother, and her friend go off on an adventure through time and space to try and find her father. This is a visually stunning film, sometimes, and then sometimes it is also fairly horrible looking. There is no escaping it. Some of these special effects and green screen are extremely noticeable, and they're not quite as impressive as I think this film thinks they are, especially for a Disney production. There are some very touching scenes, most of them involving Meg's family. You really do feel a sense of warmth in their household, and when her father disappears, you do feel for her character. But from the first act to the third act, the story is such a jumbled mess. It felt like the movie was missing something after the touching opening, and that was the human touch. After the first act, the film was just really a lot of wow sequences that didn't really land. When it comes to the children leading the film, all 3 give good performances for the most part. Storm Reed, who plays Meg, is fairly good in the movie, especially in some of the more emotional scenes. She doesn't really show a lot of surprise when the awe-inspiring moments are happening before her eyes, which was a little strange, but she is very good as an awkward young girl who is not comfortable with her own self yet. Her younger brother Charles Wallace started off strong, then a lot of the focus was on his character near the end, and sadly this is where he fell off. But the over-reliance of the younger cast pushes a lot of them to one side. Some of them just get 1 or 2 scenes in the movie, which was incredibly disappointing to see. I think overall, there's a big chance that kids today will see this movie and it will be their Hook. Hook was critically panned by critics in 1991, but kids from that era love it. This could be this generation's Hook. The final verdict on A Wrinkle in Time. Should you go and see it? Probably best to wait for Disney's streaming service that drops in 2019, if not even VOD. Why? Sadly, the story's being a jumbled mess and being more eye candy than a truly good film, which is sadly very disappointing. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to my review of A Wrinkle in Time. If you want to check out the article review, please go to theartoflives.net for that. I am Mr. Moody, and as always, ladies and gentlemen, stay glorious.